I would have preferred to stand and speak, but there was no arrangement for a podium, and I needed two things while speaking. One was some papers, another maybe a sip of water, because I had a bad throat. So I prefer to, my apologies for sitting and speaking. We have the presence of Param Pujya Swami Mitranandji. We also have the presence of Justice G.R. Swaminathanji, who spoke so eloquently about law and the colonization of law. And we also have Shri Satyanarayanji of the Vijay. And ladies and gentlemen, I won't start my speech by saying good evening or namaskar today. I will start with Jai Shri Ram. Jai Shri Ram. Jai Shri Ram. Jai Shri Ram. Well, it's quite loud and enough, and probably will reach those who talk in terms of finishing Sanatana Dharma. Now, Satyanarayanji was talking about Vijay. Probably, I'm making a guess, out of the people who are present there, my association with Vijay may be the longest, maybe. And Satyanarayanji may not be aware of it. 6th December 1992, Babri structure was demolished. And there was universal condemnation of the demolition, particularly in the English media. I happened to be working for the Indian Express Group. I was with Financial Express at that time. I was the chief of bureau. So our editor was Dr. A.M. Khusro, a Muslim gentleman. He was actually a gentleman. So he wrote a page 1 editorial condemning this beastly act by irresponsible people. And as the chief of bureau, I was entitled to analyze the news. So I wrote a piece explaining and justifying the demolition. Now, the news editor, he was one Mr. Khanna, he really got confused. And he said, Balbir, I don't think we can carry your piece. It is directly opposed to what the editor has written right on page 1. And he's gone home. And I find it very strange that the page 1 bottom spread contradicting what the editor has written. He tried to contact the editor. Those are not the days of mobile phone. He could not be contacted. Next morning, the editor called me. He said, Balbir, we cannot carry this piece. Every newspaper you read in the world, everybody has condemned. And you are justifying it. I said, sir, this is a very major event. And people have a different point of view. You as an editor are entitled to express your opinion. As a chief of bureau, I too have a privilege to write in this newspaper. And I will write what I feel like writing. He said, sorry, I cannot allow you to do that. I said, sir, if I cannot write what I feel on this issue, here is my resignation. That shocked him. He said, on such a small thing, you are willing to sacrifice your career. I said, it is not a small thing. I joined this profession. I didn't join the government. I joined this profession because I wanted to have the freedom to say and write what I feel like. He said, don't take it to your heart. And as I said in the beginning, he was a gentleman. And he tore the resignation And that piece was carried the next day, and I think carried that series in 3 or 4 installments. Now here the vigil comes in my life and in Ayodhya's life. Vigil published a collection of articles in 93, and somebody sent me a copy. I had not heard of Vigil. It contained my article also. So thank you very much. I am glad that the organization is being revived. We might have won the battle by getting Ayodhya, but the war is still to be fought. And it will have to be fought at every step, and there will be resistance. And I can assure you, as they very rightly said, vigil is the price, eternal price you pay for your freedom. So vigil is needed. Now, let us come to the book. Friends, this book was written in 4 months straight. This is a 400-page book. It was basically written at the instance of VHP. The VHP International President Alok Kumar, a very old friend, he walked for a meal into my house in August end. And after eating, he said, "I have come for the request that our entire team has sat together. We want one book, authentic book on Ayodhya and Ram Temple before its inauguration, which was slated for January 22. I had so many personal commitments, including a visit to London, 1 month. My daughter stays there, settled there, and like Vandana, she is also a doctor. So tickets have been booked, arrangements have been made. So if you have to do a book, you can't go to London. You can't attend wedding anniversaries, birthday parties, and socialize. So we cancelled the London visit. And for 4 months, I was completely devoted to the book. But let me tell you, writing 400-page book, even if somebody had offered me a ton of money, I would have said no, because it is impossible to finish such a book in 4 months' time. But the book became a possibility because of the blessings of Lord Shri Ram. It would not have been possible. It's humanly impossible for somebody like me, because I'm pretty lazy and I'm not that hardworking. But Ramji made me work hard, and the book got completed. Now, while writing this book, I read about 50 books in English on this entire controversy. And out of these 50 odd books, 7 or 8 presented an objective view of the issue, and more than 40 made about 4 or 5 points. Number one, that this was a piece of land which was stolen by VHP RSS. Number two, how do you prove that there is a Ram? It's a non-existent. Just some people believe it. And I put it very sarcastically, as if they were asking for a birth certificate of Ramji and registration paper of Dashrath's palace in Ayodhya that produced the revenue record that this land was owned by Raja Dashrath. Stupid questions. And third, they said that when God is everywhere, Bhagwan to sab jagah hai, God is everywhere, then why insist on a temple? I have answered all these questions, but this last question, I posed them. I said, God is everywhere. so you don't need a temple. Tomorrow, your car suffers a puncture on a highway, it needs air, so you stand on the roadside, and because air is everywhere, so we have it like this. So, for getting the air, you will have to go to a pump. Similarly, God is everywhere. But for many of us to find a connection to God, we need some symbol. We need some place where we feel inspired, where we feel connected. And Ram Mandir is such a place which we have been looking forward to for the last 500 years. Now quickly, I want to share some facts which may shock you and which have shocked the people, particularly those who have been opposed to the Ram temple. Because these facts demolishes their case completely. Number one, the temple movement was against the Muslims. And Muslims are also made to believe it. And it was said it was a basically Hindu-Muslim issue. Friends, post 1947, after independence, it was not, and I repeat, because Indian Express I spoke somewhere and quoted me wrongly, it was not a Hindu-Muslim issue at all after partition. Not at all. The Murtis manifested, Ram Lalla manifested himself on 23rd of December 1949. 23rd of December 1949. And who was the first witness? Of course, people say that some people mischievously put the Murtis inside. But believers believe that it was a divine intervention. It was a divine phenomena. So who is the first witness of the divine phenomena? There is a head constable of United Provinces Police. That is what UP was called those days. His name is Abdul Barakat. He is a Muslim. He is posted there. And the Ram Lalla appears, manifests. He is called by the court, asked to explain in the court on oath. How did it happen? You were on duty there. He said, sir, yes, I was on duty. I was keeping a vigil on the structure. And suddenly at night, there was a massive glow of light. Massive glow of light. The statement is in Hindi and Urdu. वहाँ बहुत सारी रोशनी हो गई. And I went, my eyes started blinking. And I was very curious. I was looking at the whole thing. And suddenly a boy of 7, 8 years, very handsome boy, he looked like divinity, he appeared in that light. Then what happened? Sir, I went into trance. I couldn't tolerate that light. I just couldn't manage myself. And I became unconscious. And when I regained consciousness, all the heavy locks which were been put on the structure had broken on their own. And the place was full of devotees who were singing the Ram Bhajan. So it is an evidence given by a Muslim. Number 2, this case went to the court, and under section 145, Judge will know, to put a receiver on a disputed property, 29th December 1949, 6 days later. As many as 12 Muslims, local Muslims from Ayodhya, they gave an affidavit in the court. Sir, we have no interest in that place. Hindus have been worshipping there. We don't know for how long. We'll be very happy if this property is given to the Hindus so that they can develop it the way they want to do it. Number three, one of the accused, who was accused of putting the murti inside, his name was Abhiram Das. Abhiram Das. And later on, he should have been a matter of hate for Muslims. But later on, he was, in 1960, there is a village in Barabanki, and one Muslim, Kuam Kidwai, gifted him his entire land and house for putting up a Hanuman temple. So it was not a Hindu-Muslim issue at all. But it was an issue. The issue was between proud Indians, believing Indians, whose minds were not colonized, and those who had colonized minds. They were in terrible minority, but they were in power. 23rd December 1949, Ramlalla manifested. 26th December 1949, 3 days later, Prime Minister of the country, who should be worried about invasion from Pakistan on Kashmir, who should be worried making arrangements for the rehabilitation of millions of refugees which had come from Pakistan, found time to send a telegram to Govind Vallabh Pant, he was called a premier of United Provinces, this is what UP was called, making 2 points in that telegram. It's on record. Number one, throw out the idols, use force, throw out the idols. And second, restart Muslim prayers in that property. Now that property had been abandoned by Muslims since 1934. In 1934, in the British India, the Hindus had made a valiant effort to regain the control, and they got control for a couple of days till they were evicted by the police. And after that, and the property was also heavily damaged, that easily can be called as the first demolition. But the British got it repaired, and after that, there were so many other mosques in Ayodhya, so why go there? So there have been no prayers at all. Now, under Islamic law and under settled Indian law, the mosque doesn't have the sanctity of a temple. Judge Sahib is here. There was a case of Shahid Masjid in 1930, and it was an old mosque and taken over by the Sikhs during Maharaja Ranjit Singh's rule, and they had demolished the mosque completely and built a Gurdwara there. The Muslims had gone to the court and wanted it back. So the Lahore High Court, in its judgment in 1930, it's called Shahid Masjid versus Shri Gurdwara Prabandhak Committee case, Amritsar. So you can refer to the law judgment. And the Lahore High Court said, and I'm just reading 3-4 lines from that judgment. Just lost them somewhere. No, it's not here. It's not somewhere. I've lost it. The judgment. The judgment essentially says that the mosque doesn't have the sanctity of a temple. It's like any other property. And if you Google, you can find out how many mosques, many of them dating back to Prophet Muhammad's time, have been demolished in Saudi Arabia. Because just a structure. And for developmental purposes, the many Islamic countries, they frequently demolish mosques or shift them elsewhere because it doesn't have that sort of sanctity. So, what was demolished was not a mosque at all. And this Lahore High Court judgment was upheld by Privy Council also. And it has been quoted by the recent judgment on Ayodhya by the Supreme Court also. So that is the settled law of the country. Now, this desire on the part of people in Ayodhya to reclaim Ram Janambhoomi had to be understood against the events that had preceded that. 1930, nobody had spoken about a separate country for Muslims till 1930. That is the first time issue was raised and said that there need to be a 1930. The word Pakistan was coined and became a currency. In 1933, there was a chap called Rahmat Ali Khan. He coined this word in 1933. And in 14 years, it becomes a reality. In 14 years, that becomes a reality. On the basis of religion, on the basis of emotions, you ignore history and geography, make fresh laws, ignore old laws, and hand over 1/4 of the country to a group of people in the name of religion. And what did the Hindus want? 2.77 acres of land after 500 years of struggle. Damn it, you will give an entire country to people on the basis of religion, but for 2.77 acres, you need 100 evidence कि राम जी का birth certificate लाओ, you birth certificate राम जी, you produce registration paper. Why do you need this place? It was against that. And let me tell you one thing more. It is absolutely wrong to say that this movement was started by RSS or VHP. It was a movement started by civil society of India. Civil society. RSS and BJP, whosoever would have been sympathetic at that point of time, they were part of it. But the movement was not started for any political reason. It was a genuine desire of the civil society after the partition of the country. The man who led the movement, who started the movement in Ayodhya, was a man called Baba Raghuvar Das. He was not an ordinary person. He was a Gandhian of repute. In 1920, when he had joined Congress, in presence of Gandhiji, Gandhiji had said, if 4 more people join Congress, we will get freedom faster. That was Baba Raghuvar Das. He was Congress MLA and a man known for his very simple lifestyle. Then you had Hindu Mahasabha supporting him, and then you had the entire district administration supporting him. Nehru kept ordering from Delhi, throw out the idols, start Muslim prayers, but he could not translate his orders in reality in Ayodhya. Because K.K. Nair, a Keralite, an ICS officer, he put his foot down. Somebody must read his correspondence, I reproduce it. Then Guru Dutt Singh, the city magistrate, the local SSP of the police, Baba Raghuvar Das, and then of course Hindu Mahasabha Karyakartas. Then in Lucknow, Govind Vallabh Pant, the chief minister, Bhagwan Sahai, the chief secretary, ICS, and the home minister of United Provinces, Lal Bahadur Shastri, who became the prime minister, they all wanted Ram temple at Ayodhya. All of them. Only one man tried to stop it, and that was Pandit Nehru. I have devoted 2 chapters of my book. I don't want to go into the history of the struggle because then of course this speech will become too long and I don't want to tax your patience. I know you are not here because of me, you are here because of Lord Ram. But all the same, see, different efforts were made. And in 1751, Malhar Rao found that this man, the ruler of this Ayodhya region, Awadh. So he was fearing an attack from Afghanistan. So there was supposed to be, I don't want to go into that detail of history. Malhar Rao had made a reciprocal arrangement. If I help you, you have to hand over Prayagraj, Ayodhya and Kashi to me. But that couldn't happen at that point of time. Interestingly, the first case during the British time registered in case of Ayodhya is against Nihang Singhs. In 1858, Nihang Singh Fakira Khalsa, he came with a band of Sikhs there and occupied the Babri structure, drove away the Muslim chap who was looking after the mosque at the point of time, conducted a Havan. There is a FIR against him. It is available. I conducted a Havan and with a charcoal wrote all over the page Ram, 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 Ram. Of course, the case was registered. After a few days, he left. But the first fight during the British time was actually put up by Sikhs of India. Then the case had gone to the court, and one Carnegie, who was in Ayodhya from 1858 to 1870, he made one observation. Ayodhya is to Hindus, but Mecca is to the Mohammedan, and Jerusalem to the Jews. This has been historically important. It has not been produced by the RSS or BJP, as they say. Then Mahant Raghuvar Das moved the court. He owned a piece of land called Ram Chabutra outside the structure. He wanted to build a temple there. The judiciary at 3 levels rejected his request, but the judge, his name was District Judge Colonel Chamier, stated in his judgment, and I am just quoting 3 lines. This is Justice Colonel Chamier. He says, it is most unfortunate that a masjid should have been built on land specially held sacred by the Hindus, but as the events occurred 356 years ago, it is too late now to remedy the grievance. All that can be done is to maintain parties and status quo. So this claim has been accepted repeatedly, and you don't expect the British to do justice. They have come here to rule and rob, and that they did efficiently, but all the same, everybody recognized. Now, I come to, Nehru has played a very big role in starting this entire controversy. We all know about Somnath. 12th November 1947. It is the first Deepavali of independent India. Junagadh, ruled by a Muslim Nawab, but predominantly Hindu, had been merged into India. 12th November 1947, Sardar Patel lands there, addresses a public meeting. And there is this Somnath. I won't go to the history of Somnath. Many of us will know. It had been converted into a sort of a mosque. Sardar Patel announces we will convert it into a temple. Huge applause. He comes back to Delhi, apprises Gandhiji of the announcement. Gandhiji is very happy. He says it must be rebuilt. Cabinet meeting is held. And who presides over cabinet meeting? The Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Sardar Patel puts the proposal. Nehru immediately, yes. And not only agrees to rebuild, also agrees to finance its rebuilding. In the evening, the cabinet goes and apprises Gandhiji of the decision. Gandhiji says, it's a very good decision, but don't rebuild the temple with funds from the government. The funds must come from the Hindu community. His proposal is accepted. And a trust is formed under Kanhaiya Maniklal Munshi, who is a cabinet colleague of Nehru. And temple reconstruction starts. I'm going to make a very important point, which will tell us about Pandit Nehru. Now, 30th January 1948, unfortunately, Gandhiji is assassinated. 15th December 1950, Sardar Patel dies. 1951, temple is nearing completion. At a cabinet meeting, Nehru admonishes Kanhaiya Maniklal Munshi, I don't like your involvement in this bloody temple business. This is Hindu revivalism. You must stop it. Kanhaiya Maniklal Munshi writes a stinking letter, which is there on record. I mentioned it in my book, saying that I have not given up my identity. I am proud of my identity. And when the temple is complete, the trust requests Dr. Rajinder Prasad, the President of India, for Pran Pratishtha. Nehru as Prime Minister advises him not to go. Sardar Patel defies the Prime Minister and goes. Please understand one thing. Nehru had asked the President to defy a cabinet decision. And if Nehru was so opposed to building a temple, when the proposal was put in the cabinet, he should have the moral courage to say, if you decide on building a temple, I will resign as Prime Minister. The man kept quiet. Not only kept quiet, even agreed to finance it because he was scared of Gandhiji and Sardar Patel. And the moment these two stalwarts were gone, he showed his true colors and advised the President not to go by the cabinet decision. I won't call Nehru immoral. I will call him immoral. I'll call him immoral. The man had no morals. He did not oppose the temple at that time. And now he has no compunctions in opposing the temple. Fact is that Nehru was, by nature, if you go through, he had a completely colonized mind. He looked at India, Hinduism from Marxist and from Western perspective. And there is a very unfortunate speech which he made in Delhi at a Lalit Kala Academy function in 1959. I have reproduced that speech. It is on record. It is there on record of All India Radio. It is there on record. Thank you. It is there in the government record also. Because I too could not believe that any sensible person, and least of it a Prime Minister, could have made this statement. I am just reading the speech he made at Lalit Kala Academy function on 17th March 1959. Here are just 4 lines. Some of the temples of South, and particularly I am sitting in South India, some of the temples of South, however, repel me in spite of their beauty. Read the next line. I just cannot stand them. I just cannot stand them. Why? I do not know. I cannot explain that. But they are very oppressive. They are very oppressive. They suppress my spirit. They suppress my spirit. They do not allow me to rise. They keep me down. temples. And what is the symbol of beauty, inspiration? In the same speech, he says, that is Taj Mahal. Can you make such a statement about a church? Can you make such a statement about a mosque? And that to the Prime Minister of India? 1959, Nehru made that statement. And this is why the UPA in 2007 filed an affidavit in the Supreme Court saying that Ram is a fictitious character, it's a fictitious story, and therefore there is no question of Ram Setu at all. Of course, there was massive protest. The government withdrew the affidavit. And recently, this January 22nd function, Congress boycotted it. You know why? Of course, they have a ideological reason, but there is one immediate reason. Elections are due, Lok Sabha. Congress doesn't have a single safe seat in North and West India. They have found a safe seat in Vineyard in Kerala. Vineyard is 55% Islamic. Baba, if you are seen anywhere close Ram temple, the Muslims will vote against you at all. And you will lose the election. So the Congress had to make a choice between Ram and Rahul. And they choose Rahul. So, and we believe in Ram. Congress believes in Rahul. I don't know how many of you understand Hindi. Just can you raise your hand? Quite a few. I'm surprised, pleasant. So, I'm trying to put my sentiments in a couplet. The couplet is in Hindi. It is in reference to Nehru dealing with India. The context is people like Nehru, Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi dealing with India. The couplet is in that context. तेरे शहर के कारीगर, तेरे शहर के कारीगर, बड़े अजीब है दिल, बड़े अजीब है ए दिल, कांच की मरम्मत करते हैं पत्थर के औजारों से, कांच की मरम्मत करते हैं पत्थर के औजारों से. So, translate. It's very difficult to translate. It says, somebody can do translation? Oh, you can do it. Come and do it on the mic. Come here.
He's trying to explain that I'm feeling really surprised in your city. You have a craftsman who's trying to create something out of a glass using stones. Just a very straightforward explanation. Trying to create something out of glass through stones. I mean, how can you do that?
So, it's a contradiction.
Yeah, you have to see it in an ironical manner. Thank you.
See, understand one thing. What was demolished on 6th December 1992 was not a mosque. I've given enough material, arguments as per the law. Now, the fact is that it was not a mosque that was built in the originally. It was a victory memorial by an Islamic invader to humiliate the local people. And this was best expressed by famous historian Arnold Toynbee. You can Google his name. He is one of the most well-known historians of the world. In February 1962, he was called for Azad Memorial Lecture. In February 1960, he was called by the Government of India for Azad Memorial Lecture. Now, what he said must have shocked the establishment then, but the lecture is there in record. He said that the lecture, of course, is long. He told his audience that Warsaw was under Russian occupation for 300 years, from 1615 to 1915. Then the Poles got hold of their place, the Warsaw city, and then the Russians had built one cathedral there. It was called, I'll just give the name, Eastern Orthodox Christian Cathedral. Huge cathedral. Russians had built during 300 years of occupation. One of the first things the Poles, who too were Christians, was to bring it down completely and demolished it. And why did they do that? They said it is not a church. This was to humiliate us, and we now that we are free, we need not tolerate it at all, and they brought it down. And citing that context, Arnold Toynbee said in his lecture, and I'm quoting 4 or 5 lines from him, Aurangzeb's purpose in building those 3 mosques, 2 in Banaras and 1 in Mathura, was the same intentionally offensive political purpose that moved the Russians to build their Orthodox cathedral in the city center at Warsaw. Those mosques were intended to signify that an Islamic government was reigning supreme even over Hinduism's holiest of holy places. And Arnold Toynbee said, the Poles were fully justified in pulling down that cathedral. And so are the Hindus fully justified in pulling down Babri Masjid. Another shocking fact, what the Karsevaks did on 6 December 1992, it was fully in accordance with what Gandhiji would have done. Pulling down of mosques was what Gandhiji would have done. And when I say so, see, a question was put to Gandhiji in Young India. He answered that 5th February 1925. And I've got it from the collected works of Gandhiji. Gandhiji was asked by somebody in Young India that if somebody puts up a mosque using force on your land, what should you do? And this is a reply, I'm quoting Gandhiji. If A is in possession of his land and someone comes to build something on it, be it even a mosque, A has the right at the first opportunity of pulling down this structure. Gandhiji, Young India, 5th February 1925. Go to the collected works of Gandhiji. If A is in possession of his land and someone comes to build something on it, be it even a mosque, A has the right at the first opportunity of pulling down the structure. Any building of the shape of a mosque is not a mosque. If A has not the will or the capacity to destroy the building, miscalled mosque, he has the right of going to the law court to have the building pulled down. Gandhiji ki baat par you must give applause for Gandhiji. So this, what the Karsevaks did, it was exactly by what Gandhiji had said in 1925. And when the book came out, few friends of the media, English media particularly, they started calling me. How can Gandhiji say such a thing? I said, I can't explain how Gandhiji can say such a thing. Only he can explain it. But I can definitely prove that he said such a thing. They came to my office, looked at the collected works of Gandhiji, that volume, this side, that side, as if I had manufactured something unknown, took photographs And then one of them wrote an article, he is quoting Gandhiji out of context. So what the Karseviks did was absolutely in what you can say in accordance with the Gandhian values. Now, the Ram temple in Ayodhya is a reality. The dialogue has started on Kashi. And somebody's told me that under law, everything is frozen now. How can you have a dialogue on Kashi? I said, my dear friend, if you don't have a dialogue, there will be demolition. So it's better to have a dialogue. And India is a very, what you can say, a ancient, very ancient civilization. And I'd like to quote, before I end, Mark Twain, an American writer and philosopher. In 1897, he must have come to Banaras and made a statement. It's 2 lines. Banaras is older than history, older than tradition, older even than legend, and looks twice as old as all of them put together. So what applies to Banaras applies to rest of India also. So last 4 lines, again in Hindi, जो पूरा ना हो उसे अरमान कहते हैं. What cannot be attained is called a wish or a अरमान. जो बदले नहीं उसे ईमान कहते हैं. जो ना पूरा हो उसे अरमान कहते हैं, जो ना बदले उसे ईमान कहते हैं, जो झुके नहीं गिरकर उठे उसे मेरा हिंदुस्तान कहते हैं. जय श्री राम.